The second type of VPN connection that Microsoft Azure supports is called Site-to-Site, and it's abbreviated as S2S. Now, the concept, of course, is given away by the name. Your entire network can be connected to that virtual network that you've created within Azure. Again, that could be sized to only one machine or to several machines, depending on how you set that up. But this is a much more convenient way of connecting your corporate network to the Microsoft Azure virtual network. But that does require you to have a gateway device on your side to allow this private connection. The other thing that to note is that this traffic, the same as the point-to-site, by the way, travels over the public internet. And so you don't, other than the virtual network gateway that does the encryption and ensures the connection is secure, this just travels over your existing public internet and goes into Azure over that way. There is a limitation to the speed over the public internet. Now, we all know that from time to time, internet is fast, internet is slow. We're kind of at the mercy of our ISPs and things like that. But even within Microsoft Azure, they do limit the speed of this connection. And so this is not a great solution if you require your cloud infrastructure to be highly responsive. Network, it's critical that it has fast performance. This is a good thing for many applications and for many company sizes, but in terms of if your business is transferring terabytes of information into the cloud, like a backup service, for instance, then this is a fairly slow connection, and you may be disappointed with the amount of information you can push over this tiny pipe. Now, looking at the Microsoft Azure site, they do support 100 megabits per second speed over their basic and standard SKUs for this VPN connection. You can pay extra, get the high performance SKU, but it's still only 200 megabits per second. And so that, to many of us, 100 and 200 megabits per second are a fairly fast connection. I mean, that's a typical high-speed home connection if you're willing to pay a decent sum. But it's still not the type of thing if you're transferring tons of information back and forth. This is not great. There's also costs involved in terms of the amount of information you're getting out of the Azure. I think inbound connections are free, but outbound connections have a cost to them. So yeah, it's not the greatest thing for all people, but it's certainly a great option. If you want to spin up, like I said in a previous video, a SQL server, and you have a very specific use for it, and you don't want to have to purchase a server, and you don't want to have to license that, and it's licensed by CPU and all this wonderful stuff, you can set up this point-to-site or site-to-site VPN connection, and that SQL server is available to your applications. Just don't expect there to be a ton of data passing through your servers to this SQL server. Now, that is the point-to-site and site-to-site are two of the VPN options that are available to Microsoft Azure customers. It's important for this exam that you understand the difference between the point-to-site connection and the site-to-site. There's not differences in terms of the speed. There's not differences to that, but there is differences in terms of the hardware required. There is differences in terms of the number of connections. Obviously, if you've got site-to-site, you've got much more servers that are able to connect versus just that one device. Coming up in the next video, we're going to move on to the other solution that Microsoft offers, which is called ExpressRoute.